So if I'm trying to paint a sky, the first thing I want to do, I'm going to get out my paper plates that are curved on the top and have notches along the edges cut for me. And I'm also going to find some kind of a palette for my paints. So I usually keep around a few like little styrofoam or paper plates. You could also use just a piece of cardboard from a box, like a shipping box, or like part of a cereal box. Whatever kind of recycled, easy thing you have to put some paint on is totally fine. You don't necessarily need a super fancy palette. So in my cups, I've got my acrylic paint, and I'm also going to need my popsicle sticks because these are how I'm going to scoop the paint out of the cups. So the first kind of sky you probably thought of was a blue sky, right? So I'm going to scoop a generous blob of some blue paint onto my plate. And I'm going to use both ends of my stick to try to get all the paint off of it. I'm going to use just a little bit of white to make it a lighter blue. I'm going to swirl them together to see what I've got. Now when I add the white, the nice thing that I get other than it makes it a little bit of a lighter color, the other thing I get with this is the white will make it cover my plate just a little bit better. So I'm going to mix it up, and then I'm just going to leave that on my plate for right now. So there are other kinds of skies, obviously, and we'll talk about how you could paint one of those for the second sky plate that we're going to paint. So I'm going to scooch it over, and I'm going to use one of my brushes. And here's the fun thing. You don't necessarily need it to be perfectly even all over. If it's a little streaky, I'm going to get a little bit of extra white on here so that it can be streaky on purpose. That looks nice. That looks realistic. You know, sometimes you end up with some like wispy little clouds in the sky. I don't think I'm going to paint any clouds on this to start. I'm going to paint around the edges. The thing with these plates is they're nice and thick, but they do absorb the paint pretty good. They're almost like a paper towel or something, so it really isn't going to take a very long time for my paint to dry. I'm going to paint all the way around it. And if you wanted to paint clouds on this when the sky background is dry, you can. Or you can leave them because you have some fluff in your Ziploc bag that you can use to make three-dimensional clouds. So you can either make flat painted clouds or poofy clouds, or I mean, do both. If you really love clouds, do a couple different kinds. Oh, I got it on my tablecloth. Okay, I'm just spreading this out a little bit more, making sure that there's that little spot here in the center where the Chinette, it says Chinette on it, so I'm gonna make sure I kind of squish it down in there. I want to make sure when I'm using my brush, I mostly brush side to side or up and down. I don't want to like scrub it around like it's a, you know, sponge or something. We're trying to be nice to the bristles because we want to keep them all going the same direction. And my fingers are going to get a little bit painty, that's okay. I'm just going to wipe my fingers on my apron when I'm done. And mine's pretty smooth right now. I think what I'm going to actually do, I'm going to use a little bit of my, just the blue from the popsicle stick. I'm going to try to make it a little more streaky. I kind of like a streaky sky. It's a little bit more forgiving, and I think it's a little bit more realistic too if it's not perfectly smooth all over. I'm going to get a little bit of white on my brush too. I can just streak it on there like a nice blue sky day. I'm going to try to kind of get the streaks on there all over, in a few places at least. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that.